I do want to welcome everybody to Pensacon, because it's just really, it's been since the 80s since we had a convention in Pensacola, and you know, nowhere near this magnitude, of course. You know, that year we had two guests, Mark Leonard and Robin Curtis. It was actually really cool. It was held at the University Mall Hilton, or Holiday Inn. I don't know. I was much younger then. But the chance to have a great convention like this with some of the phenomenal talent and stars that we have that have come in is it's humbling to myself. And to see so many people who have embraced, you know, the cultures and these films and these bodies of work that these people bring is humbling. It's you know, a revelation to see there's so many people who enjoy this. And you know, so we want to welcome everybody to Pensacon. Now, our next panel is with a gentleman who I'm sure everyone in this room is familiar with. It's hard to think of a modern cult classic without his name coming up. You know, from some of his original work in Leadbelly to his work, of course, in Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, The Crow, phenomenal work there in The Crow. This gentleman truly incredibly hardworking, and I found out recently also a doctor. Yes, he has a PhD, incredibly learned, but so far beyond that, he's actually a man of action and works incredibly hard. And I'm truly, truly honored to be able to introduce Dr. Ernie Hudson.
Well, you're standing there, so
where are we?
All right, great. There, guys, how you doing? What up? Cool. So, great. I mean, it's really cool to be in Pensacola. I never thought I would be, but I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, good.
So, are you having a good time so far?
I'm having a great time. Everybody's been really very cool. It seems like a really nice little town. I don't mean little in a bad way, but it's, you know, it seems like a nice place to be and live. You know, I've seen all of this hotel in the convention center. But yeah, no, it's really great.
Yeah, yeah. We're really honored that you could be here with us. Let's start with a couple of quick questions. First is, what are you doing now?
Well, I'm here in Pensacola.
I mean, in terms of work, of course.
Yeah, I want to fill in some applications at the local. No, you know, I still work. I still work a lot. This week I'm doing Rizzoli and Isles. I did an episode, and I'm embarrassed I can't think of his name, but I played the dad of the young man who passed away a year ago. Anyway, so I'm going back because they to do that show. But I just finished a movie in Canada for Lifetime called Grim Sleeper. They're putting it together now and should be coming on. And did a movie called Touched with Doris Roberts. We finished a couple of months ago for Hallmark, which is I think it's pretty good. They did a movie with Hilary Swank and I can never remember these people's names. Hilary Swank and Emmy Rossum and Josh Duhamel called You're Not You. We did it about 10 months ago. It should be coming out hopefully soon. Did a film with Kix Brooks. We did about a year ago a Western, which is really great. I got a chance to ride and, you know, shoot. I think it's actually the movie's now out at Walmart. He did the a musical thing to it, so you know, so I get to stand in Walmart by the display, and but I stay busy. I do the Haunted Hathaways for Family Channel or something was on. Somebody told me last night. Modern Family, I've done a couple of those. I mean, I'm just very blessed to, I'm an actor, and that's what I do, and I don't qualify it, you know, it's just sort of, you do the work. Yeah, so I might go on and on and on, but I'm pretty much, I mean, I stay pretty busy.
Well, I know we have lots of people who are going to have questions for you. Because you've done at least a little bit of work, and
yeah,
they have questions about it. So
things to talk about, you know.
We'll start right over here.
Yeah, I had a question. You mentioned some of the other actors you worked with. Who have you been happiest to work with, and who would you like to do a production with? Like, if you could choose any actor, any director, in stage, film, or TV, who's your dream team?
Well, you know, I went to college with Meryl Streep. We went to Yale together back in the early 70s. And I really, really like her. I mean, she's versatility. She's really pretty amazing. And I'm really bad with names. But I like, I can't, it's some wonderful actors who I have no idea who they are. But it would be really fun to work with them. I mean, I cannot remember names. I'm almost, but it's some really good people out there, and I just want a job. So it's like, it's all good to me, you know. And I do these shows, and actors, you know, they sort of feel like, well, of course you know who I am, and I have no clue. So, but I'm very, very thankful, and there's some good people, and whose names I can't remember.
What about stage, film, or TV? Which do you prefer?
Do I prefer stage, screen, or TV? I just like to work, you know, and I don't really qualify it. You know, I got to a point where the first 30 years of my career, and I've been acting for 50 years, in the first 30 years I kept buying into this thing about, if you do this job and these people are going to see it, and when you do this thing and then you're going to make this much money and all these great things are going to happen, and you do it and it never works out the way you think it will. I mean, sometimes you get a Ghostbusters, but sometimes you get movies that nobody ever heard of or ever saw. So then I realized that I'm buying into this belief that something is going to change my life and make it all better. You know what I mean? So at some point you kind of got to go, you know what? That would be nice. You know, we can all use more money. I know some people are worth a lot of money. More money than I know that I'll ever have. And it doesn't really make life any better from where I'm sitting. I'm like, you know, I wouldn't trade places. So the bottom line is, let me just do what I love to do. And if that happens, it'll be great. So I love working on stage. I did a play on Broadway a couple of years ago called Joe Turner's Come and Gone. And Chad Coleman, who was on Walking Dead, Chad was in it. And Denai's also on Walking Dead. And so that was fun. It was fun being on Broadway. And but I just, so I love stage. I started out in stage for about 10 years before I did any film. And I love working in movies. But the bottom line is, it's a job. And so you do the work. Because you spend a lot of time, I think, for me, you're buying time. You think, if I do these things, I'm going to have enough money to where I'm going to have time to spend with my family. I'm going to have time to go fishing. I'm going to have time. So you're giving up your time to be able to maybe someday have time. You know? So I'm kind of going, wait a minute, I can go fishing now, okay? I mean, maybe I won't have the best fishing pole, but I can, you know, I got time now. I mean, it's the one thing we're born with, right? I mean, it's one thing we all have equal amounts of. We all got 24/7. So why am I going to sacrifice doing something I really don't want to do for the hope that maybe it's going to change my life and it's going to be, you know, I don't want to get philosophically, but so I just love to work, but I love doing the things that I like to do, or at least I think I'm going to like doing it. And if I'm doing it, I might as well try to like doing it because I'm committed to it. You know, as an actor, you only have one choice. You can say yes or no, because once you say yes, you're in it. and it's hard to get in it, and you realize that the people you're working with don't have a clue what they're doing. It's going to be a crappy movie. You know, you're probably going to be embarrassed to see it, but you're in it. So, you know, and there's no such thing as quit. You know, you can't go, oops, I'm sorry, I'm going to leave now, you know. So why not enjoy the adventure, you know? I think it's an excellent adventure. I never thought I'd be in Pensacola. I mean, how cool is it to be in Pensacola, you know? So, yeah. So, anyway, all right. Like I said, I'm not going to go real philosophical, but anyway, I'm just happy to be here. So, another question?
Yeah, how about right here?
Any recent Ghostbuster 3 news?
Yeah, Ghostbusters 3. You know, so I'll tell you all now, so because that's probably the most frequently asked question of my life. You know, and I have no answers. You know, I used to think I had answers because the studios would call and say we're going to do the movie and we're starting in the fall. And then I'd go on some talk show and I'd say we're starting in the fall, and it wouldn't happen. And then pretty soon I started to feel really stupid. So I have no idea if it'll ever happen. I don't know why it hasn't happened. If I had made as much money as those guys made, I wouldn't care if it happened. But I'd like to see it happen because I think the fans, you know, I mean, it's been really amazing. I go different countries, you know, Europe, Asia. I mean, there's no place that I go that people know I'm going to be there. Somebody doesn't show up with a Ghostbuster suit and his backpack. They take their cars and turn them into ectomobiles. Representation right here. And I think it's so cool, man. You know, I don't know how to make a proton pack, and I'm impressed, you know. So that's really great. But why it's taken so long to do another movie? And I'm friends with all the guys. I really like them a lot. And Bill Murray. I love Bill Murray. And we've talked about it, and he says he wants it to happen, and I know he means that sincerely. But he wants it to be good, and I know he means that sincerely, and that's where the problem comes in, because I'm sure it's kind of hard to interpret that, you know. So we all want it to be good, but I'm glad we did the video game, but that was fun. You know, and the game was good. So I don't know if it'll happen. I'd love to see it happen, and obviously I'm ready to go. I got the T-shirt on. You know, if you come to my table, I got my Ghostbuster suit. I'm ready to roll. So, but I don't know if it'll ever happen, and that's, to me, it's kind of unfortunate, I think. Yeah.
How about right here in the back?
What was your experience with Stay Puft Marshmallow?
Yeah, you know, yeah, me and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. It's kind of a sexual thing that was happening. I don't know, you know, see, I get that answer, you know, how big was it? I have no idea. It was like, it was a little, you know, obviously, you guys know it wasn't a real marshmallow. I'm sorry, what?
I didn't mean that question.
Oh. Oh, okay, you don't want details, okay. That's right.
I bet you guys were shooting on set.
Yeah, well, you know, part of what we do is, all this is really is an extension of what I used to do when I was 3 and 4, and you run around, and you know, and you know, back then it was cowboys and Indians and all that stuff. So it's you know, you're on the set, and you got all the toys, because the studios have great toys. Big movies, you get great toys. So we got all this stuff on, and the Marshmallow Man is climbing up the building. Of course, there's no Marshmallow Man, and we're standing here, and he's getting closer, and you shoot the thing, and then it's like, you know, he blows up, and you fall back, and so, I mean, how well can you do that? So then you go, how much money are they paying me? I'm good. I can do it pretty good, you know. That's that. And people go, wow, man, I can't believe you did that scene. It was so brilliant. I go, oh, really? Oh, that's nice. Thank you. But it was, yeah, it was the Marshmallow Man, the train scene. I mean, all those things were a lot of fun. And I'm so glad that people like them and appreciate them.
Right over here.
How did you get involved in Ghostbusters in the first place? How did that come about?
Well, I have no idea. One of the things you'll find about actors is, if you're working, you have no real clue as to why you're working. Not really. I mean, why do they cast you over, you know, the 200 other guys who are trying to get the part? And if you're not working, you have no clue why you're not working. So it's kind of a strange business in that sense. I did a movie called Space Hunter the year before with Peter Strauss and Molly Ringwald, and Ivan Reitman produced that movie. And a year later, he was doing Ghostbusters, and I saw him on an elevator, and he told me that he was doing this movie with Danny and Bill, who I had no clue who Danny and Bill was because I don't remember names, and so, but he said, there's nothing in it for you. And I said, oh, well, you know, cool, it's good to see you. And then I found out that there was a part that they were casting, and my agent couldn't get an interview. So, because they thought I was all wrong for the movie, because in Space Hunter, it was a big guy. It was big, and my voice was a little lower. He was kind of tough, and he was, and they thought that was me, I suppose. I don't know. And then after about 3 months, I got an interview, and then I went in and auditioned, and they put me on camera. And then they called a few days later and said they wanted me to come in, so they put me on camera. And then I went in and did it again, and then they called about a week later and said they wanted me to come in. They really wanted to put me on film. And then I went in again, and then they said I was really good, but could I come in so they could put me on camera? And then when I thought I had it, they said, well, they really like me a lot, but they're going to see Clavon Derrick's in New York. He was on the play on Broadway, and then they get back to me. And then on and on and on, but finally, after a bunch of stuff, you know, I got the part. So, yeah, and I'm glad I did, you know. Yeah.
Right here?
I didn't realize you were a doctor. What's your doctorate in?
You know, I'm not a doctor, so I'm sorry. So I'm almost more embarrassed to correct that. It's
no, that's fine.
No, you know, I was at the University. I went to Yale and did graduate work, and I was at the University of Minnesota, and I was working toward a doctorate. But somehow, I did an interview about 40 years ago, and that interview, where I was in the doctorate program at the University of Minnesota, got turned into the, and it just won't go away. And so you know, and I don't, and then when somebody says it with so much commitment, it's hard to go, that's not true. So I did the coursework. It got to a point where the reason I don't have the doctorate, my ex-wife got stayed at the University of Minnesota, and she got her doctorate. The reason I left the program was because I couldn't stand her anymore. The reason I left the program was because we were doing this thing together, you know, and then we got to a point where that wasn't working. So I'm like, okay. So now everybody I knew who stayed in the program and got their doctorate ended up teaching. And I don't think I want to teach. So I want to act. And I got this movie called Lead Belly with Gordon Parks, shooting in Texas. And do I do the movie, or do I go back to finish this degree that I don't really think I want? That I think I'm doing it because it's going to give me more time. So I decided to stick with the acting. So I didn't mean to embarrass you or whatever.
No,
but it's out there on the internet, and I've done everything I can. It just sort of so no.
I think
if I had a doctorate, I'd be able to remember names. Okay.
I think what we should all do is make a concerted effort to go online and say, Ernie Hudson does not have a doctorate.
Yes, does not.
And as a matter of fact, if you shot video of this, make sure you go online, by all means, and go, look how dumb the moderator was that he didn't know he didn't have.
So the Wayne State University of Detroit, I got my bachelor's from, and I've done a lot of work with them, and I've tried to sort of help, you know, recruit people and all that. And so they told me, so, you know, we really were going to give an honorary doctorate degree, and we thought about you, your name was on it, but we couldn't with you because there's a conflict of interest because you work so hard with the university. So and I'm like, oh. So the person they gave it to, they called me to get her number. So maybe someday, you know, when I tell them to go to hell, they'll give me a degree. that's a big part of acting too. You know, you got to have attitude. You got to know. You got to have attitude. You got to go. You know, like Sam. Sam Jackson's been a friend for a real long time, and you know, you got to be able to say, "Get the hell out of my face." Shut up. They said, "Well, you know, we're doing this movie. Would you like to?" No, I don't want to do your movie. And then they go, "Okay, well, how much money will it take to get you to want to do it?" I go in going, "Hey guys, thanks, so nice to meet you. Thanks, so happy to be here. And yeah, what are we doing?" I said, no, we don't. We want somebody who will curse us out. And, so attitude is really important. I just don't know how to I'm like so happy to just be alive. I'm like, oh man, the sun is shining, and if we got time, and you know.
We just so everybody knows, we don't have time for probably about 2 more questions, and we're going to have to wrap up. But I do know Ernie will be actually across the way doing autographs and photographs and all kinds of stuff today.
All day today and tomorrow as well. So.
Yeah. And so let's jump right over here.
Hey.
What was your favorite moment in Ghostbusters?
My favorite moment in Ghostbusters, I liked in the first movie, I liked the scene that Danny Aykroyd and I did in the car talking about the end of the world. And, and you know, I love that scene. In fact, I think I have no hobbies. I'm hobbyless. I kind of do what the character does. So, but I love spirituality stuff, philosophy. You know what happens. So all that stuff. And Danny's very much into the whole supernatural thing. So it was great on camera and off camera, sort of sharing that with him. And in the second movie, I love the scene in the train station where the train runs over me. And even though they told me it was going to be a real, like, live locomotive train, so I did the scene thinking it was going to be, and then when the movie came out, it was like a little choo-choo. If they had told me it was going to be a little choo-choo, I would have played it very different, like, what the hell, you know, it's like, let's train. So maybe it was best, but those are the 2, but I love working in the movies, you know. But if I had to pick 2 scenes, I'd pick those.
Yeah. All right. And let's see. Last question. How about let's go right over here.
What's your experience like with Brandon Lee on Pro?
You know, and that always sort of comes up no matter where I am. Brandon Lee, I met about 6 years before we did the movie in Vancouver. He grew up with Miguel Ferrer. Miguel's dad was Jose Ferrer. And you know, and so Brandon was coming back from China doing some film in China, and we met, and he was there for a couple of weeks, and I got to know him fairly well, you know. And I really liked Brandon a lot. He was a sweet guy, you know. Never could get him to stop calling me Mr. Hudson. And I'm like, you know, dude, I'm wearing chucks, man. And he said, why the Mr. stuff? I was like, I'm young. And but he was always very respectful, and he wanted me to do the movie, which is, I'm sure, probably why I was asked to do it, or at least had a part of it anyway. And when the accident happened, it was almost otherworldly, because what I do, it's meant to look dangerous and all that stuff. You know, I mean, the guy jumps, you know, off a 5-story building, and he lands, and he starts running, and he gets shot 5 times, and he keeps doing martial arts, and you know, I love that Fast and Furious where they're on the, you know, the car's moving fast and the truck's going, they dive off the car, and I mean, that stuff's supposed to look a certain way, and it's great, but it's not real, you know, so nobody actually really gets hurt, and he died, and that's like, yeah, it was just really, you know, he was a great guy to work with, and I think if there was anything I sort of took away from it, my wife's brother passed away, sort of surprisingly, about 3 days before Brandon did. And Brandon took me and my wife to dinner, and he was just really nice and very kind to her that night at dinner. And we talked about what was happening with him. He was getting married, and he had just signed his 3-picture deal, and the movie came out, all these great things were going to happen, all this great stuff that I was talking about earlier that they sell you on when this happens. And then I went up to Minnesota to to be with my in-laws. And when we walked in the house, I got the call that Brandon had died. And I once read in a movie the saying about if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. You know, because all you got is what you got. You know, and it breaks my heart. I mean, to think about it. I think he was just. Yeah, you know, he was a great guy, and he was great to work with, and I'm glad it was a good movie. It's one of my favorite movies. I would have hated for it to happen on some awful movie, you know, and I think that movie at least showed what his potential as an actor, so I don't want to keep going at it. But anyway, I love Brandon, and I still have nothing but fond memories, and you know, and it breaks my heart now. Really.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. Ernie, it's been an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys.
Well, sorry about that. It's you know, some of these guys are just so incredible, and they have kind of tight schedules. But panels are never as long as, you know. I wish I could just sit down with, like, you know, each of them and do like a day panel. That would just be like awesome. We will be doing the Billy D. Williams panel in here in just a short little bit. Like in probably about 10 minutes. We'll be getting started up with Billy D. Williams. Just so you know, because I know at some conventions they do clear the room. We don't have enough time here to clear the room. So if you're staying for Billy D., just stay in the room. But once we finish with Billy D., we will clear the room to set up for the wedding, which will be happening at 2 o'clock. Which will be streamed live. It'll be a Star Wars wedding. It's going to be awesome. So, thank you. We'll be back with you in a few minutes.